You're watching the 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship presented by Rady Children's Hospital. A top 5 ranking in the world on the line tonight as Japan meets England. Hi everybody, we welcome you to the San Diego State University Sports Deck. Alongside Courtney Martinez-Connor, I'm Cooper Perkins. A very fun matchup for many reasons, but chief among them tonight, these two teams are fighting bitterly, but for very different reasons.
When you look at the program of England, they have finished 5th countless times in world championships. Japan, on the other hand, is kind of the new kid on the block. They are fighting to take the next step and to be in the conversation of the top 5 in the world.
For England, it is fighting the downturn. For Japan, it is fighting for the breakthrough. It'll be Japan in the red tonight, England in the white. Here's how we got here. Japan ripped through their pool play to a perfect 4-0 mark with a goal differential of plus 64. They then met Germany in the opening round of the playoffs, struggled through the first half before pulling away in the second half against the Germans, who at the time were ranked 10th, but then ran into the Haudenosaunee. That game was a wake-up call of sorts for them. They came into this tournament with the goal of contending against the top 3. I think they discovered that they might not be at that point yet, but a lot of learning experiences in that game nonetheless.
When you look at the score, it was 10-5. You'd say fairly close, but not close in their eyes. They know they have some more room to grow, and a big win over England would put them over that hump.
Will Baxter and Shogo Oshima, the starting goaltenders, and Keiji Victor Ijii wins the opening face-off in a matchup that we are anticipating tonight to be very important. He gives it away on the opening possession. But talking to the head coach of England, Pat Scarpello, he singled out the wing play of the long poles on face-offs as being particularly important. Is that specifically because they've struggled to win draws? Why would he highlight that?
They have struggled. About 30% is where they've been throughout the tournament. So if you look at them being able to gain possession, have the ball, really control the tempo, the pace of play, in terms of Japan, they have done outstanding at the face-off. So in order to neutralize that, he needs all 3 players, those at the wings, not just the person taking the draw.
Tim Collins, Christian Scarpello, Mike Pomfret, the starting midfield for Team England. Danny Hilditch, Dan Watson, and Sean Goldsmith, the starting attack. Goldsmith is a key player in this game in both teams' eyes. For England, they want to see him get loose and shoot the ball a bit more. Collins was looking for him in the 2-man game, but has to retreat back towards the midfield line. Japan, on the other hand, highlighted him as kind of the guy they have to be aware of at all times because Goldsmith has a skill set unlike any other player on Team England.
You know, you have to honor him. He has size, and he is a long-distance shooter. He can go with a big range, so you got to keep him in the back of your mind at all times.
Kiyoshi Sano is blown up, and a flag flies in behind the play.
We're seeing physical play right off the bat as Japan is looking to transition the ball quickly. England doing whatever it takes to stop that fast break opportunity. Lacrosse is a physical, tough game. We already see the first penalty flag coming out. We've seen quite a bit of that throughout the tournament. Referees always making a statement when they have early calls, letting them know what will be called, what will be let go.
Doug Duglazima and Ryan Noze are officials running the point tonight. Sean Goldsmith takes a 1-minute penalty for cross-checking, and Japan's man-up unit gets its first opportunity, humming at just 15% in the tournament. Umehara steps in, sweeping save, Will Baxter. They'll go to clear and will do so down a man. But that brings to mind something Pat Scarpello has talked about throughout the tournament. For them, everything starts with making saves in the back end and getting out in transition.
When you make saves, you're feeling confident. It can feed and fuel your offense. As soon as you have the ball in your stick, everybody is an offensive player. And again, starts with the goalie, obviously those 6 defenders in front, but you have to transition the ball safely, so you rely on every single one of those players. It's all 10.
In international lacrosse, remember, there is no failure to advance. They have as much time to take, so if that felt like a long time to you, it's because it was, but perfectly legal in the eyes of the international rules. Danny Hilditch out of Stockport, England, trots the ball in, making his first appearance in the Men's World Championships. And now Goldsmith out of the penalty box, trots things in. England lost their first 4 games in pool play, the closest being a 4-goal loss to Australia, I should say. Now long Lucy out towards the sideline, gobbled up by Kota Yanai, and Japan takes over. Neither team really valuing their possession so far.
You know, if you look at the back and forth game, it proves beneficial for this Japanese team. They're fit. The Haudenosaunee head coach Lars Tiffany compared them to an NCAA collegiate team. Even though none of these players play in the United States, he said they're fast, they're fit. Despite the fact that they do not play with a shot clock internationally, he feels like this style of play is beneficial to them because of how good condition they are.
You mentioned no players on NCAA rosters, no players that played any NCAA lacrosse, just 2 with MCLA experience at the club level while they were study abroad students, one at Washington in the Pacific Northwest and one at Cal Berkeley just north of here in California. On the perimeter, Junichi Suzuki dodging underneath. Suzuki feeding Obana. One more picked off by Tom Hallam, who has been their turnover forcer, leading the way now with 6 of them in the tournament.
We've seen some fast styles offensively. I think that Japan looking to go to goal a little bit too soon. Again, a little bit cavalier with their possessions.
Timeout called by England. You mentioned Japan being a little bit cavalier with their possessions. That's interesting because that draws a contrast from how they approached the Haudenosaunee game. They did value the ball. They created opportunities, but they just felt like they took too many low-angle shots. Today, they're pushing the tempo far more, which is interesting to see.
Because I think they're playing into the fact that they're fitter. They know that, as opposed to every other team here. They just have that extra level set of energy despite this being game number...
For them, it is game number 7. And for England, it is number 7 as well. Each of them were off yesterday, which is particularly important for England. Going into their quarterfinal game against Australia, Pat Scarpella told us, hey, we're really banged up. So are a lot of teams in the field. That is not unique to England, but specifically for them, Christian Scarpello, who is his son and kind of their go-to guy on both ends of the field, he was dealing with a deep contusion on his back. To get the day off is really important for both of them.
It is, but as I look at the team in red, Japan, they don't seem to have any players who have slowed down throughout the entire tournament. We've seen teams become a little bit more methodical offensively, take some time off the clock. We haven't really seen that from them to date. If they were going to make a change, today would be the day. You always want to try and take as much air out of the ball as you can, but on the flip side, I think they want to run this team. Run England into the ground and let their potential battered bodies be an advantage for Japan.
They'll have to get the ball back in order to do that, as England with possession wearing the white uniforms tonight at the SDSU Sports Deck. Goldsmith dodging, shooting, kicked aside by Oshima. And the ball awarded to England. Remember, in field lacrosse, on shots that miss the cage, whichever team is closest when the ball exits the field of play is awarded possession. They swing it up top to Joseph Baythorpe, coming off an ankle injury. Another one of those players who has been banged up. Now Danny Hilditch moves it over to Dan Watson. England taking the air out of the ball a little bit, which is what we expected to see against Australia. But we're told before the game to expect to see them run a little bit more. 17-year-old Hugo Peel defers to Goldsmith. They swing it all the way around. Now Hilditch, defended by Sano, one of their best cover guys. Watch for Japan to trust their one-on-one matchups and slide late today. Tim Collins, the captain, bodying into his defender. Now Goldsmith chased around by Sorayama. Loses the ball, and Sorayama is the one who comes up with it for Japan.
That combination of number 33 and 43 in red, Sorayama and Hiratsuka, the two of them so fundamentally sound. We saw them working together, getting that ground ball up and out quickly. Fundamentally sound, meaning they sit low. Their stick is out in front. They don't give a lot of space to the offensive player.
And fundamentally sound is probably the perfect way to describe Japan's national program as a whole.
What they have done in terms of X's and O's, we already talked about they don't have any players who play in the NCAA, but anything and everything they do is done well. Their passing, their structure offensively, and then their defense. You talked about not sliding early. They trust one another. Because they are so good defensively, they aren't going to slide quickly. Maybe to number 3, Goldsmith, quite possibly. They have to keep their eye on him because he can shoot from a range, but more importantly, they know that they're not going to go for a big swinging check. They're just going to play tough, on-ball defense, on the hands, and they trust each other, which is so important on the defensive end. They communicate well, and then you have to be able to play as a unit, as a defensive team.
Japan with possession. Morimatsu, one of their 2 MCLA products, who played at Cal briefly while an exchange student in the U.S. Underneath, good look, Goto. Baxter, a sweeping save. And a big hit comes in at the end of the play, drawing a flag, with Shinaya Tateishi, one of the tournament's top 3 scorers, on his backside.
He's a player that Japan has relied on consistently here at World Championships, as well as last summer in the World Games, putting up some big-time numbers. He was first in points in the World Games.
That'll take us to our first media timeout, as Japan and England in a deadlock at 0. 5th place in the world on the line. Will it be the new guys on the block or the steady Eddies? Stay tuned to find out. We'll have more after this. Midway through the opening quarter to decide who will be the 5th-ranked team in the world at tournament's end, and Japan in a dogfight with England. Both teams just kind of feeling each other out. But the Japanese will have a man-up opportunity as Andrew Baxter takes a 2-minute illegal body check penalty. And this is going to be a great opportunity for Japan, a team that has struggled in their man-up despite their excellent ball movement and their shooting threats.
You know, oftentimes you can overthink things offensively. It's do the simple, do the easy. In a man-up situation, you obviously have one extra player, and sometimes you're just trying a little too hard rather than letting that game come to you.
Keep an eye on number 11, Hiroki Kanaya. 19 goals in the tournament and one of the truly elite shooters. Feeding the middle. Okamura. Shot, score! Shinaya Tateishi opens the scoring with a bullet.
Yuya Okamura. As soon as that ball was fed inside, Kanaya to Okamura, all the way to Tateishi. We gave him a little shout out earlier. He is a player who can get things moving quickly. A little spark on the offensive end of the field for Japan. A very dangerous offensive player.
After the goal, Japan calls a timeout. Gives us an opportunity to highlight Yuya Okamura, who fed the pass into Tateishi. What he did was so interesting there because it flashes the skills he developed playing box lacrosse in British Columbia. He's one of a couple of guys on Japan's team who have gone to the box game to try and develop. It's the working in tight spaces that really stands out.
You know, he's a passionate player about the sport. Not a lot of players from Japan have that box experience. Again, when you're used to playing in a much smaller setting, box lacrosse, very intimate, you have to develop that in-tight stick work, your handles offensively, and you have some really great vision. Your eyes are always up. And Okamura definitely displaying that in that last instance. It's a lot of quick passing, tight finishes. So impressive. I wouldn't be surprised again in the future if you look at Japan as they've continued to be on the rise throughout the last 15 years or so, that more players finding the value in playing different disciplines of lacrosse, just like box.
The penalty on Baxter is not released as it is a 2-minute illegal body check, so Japan will stay on the man up. After cracking the scoring open, Shinaya Tateishi with his 19th of the tournament, and an easy face-off win for Ishii will give Japan wearing the red uniforms, possession.
Japan goal, scored by number 3, Shinya Tateshi.
Already off to a better start than their quarterfinal against the Haudenosaunee, where they fell behind early and never really competed to come back. Kanaya to Tateishi. Back to Kanaya around the perimeter. Here's Umehara. Now it's Kokigoto. Kanaya with a missile! Time and room up top for Hiroki Kanaya, his 20th of the tournament.
Kanaya, another one of the key players for Japan offensively. Just look at the amount of time that he had to wind up. That's a big power shot. Defensively, shifting a little bit slowly. England, is it tired legs? Is it a lack of communication? But you cannot leave a player like Kanaya with a lot of time, room, and space.
That second goal releases the England penalty. But Ishii wins the ensuing faceoff, and already what Pat Scarpello highlighted before the game, proving to be very important. The possession battle that is won via the faceoff. Japan dominating early, but struggling to clear as Christian Scarpello, the coach's son, comes up out of the scrum. And a flag flying in from well behind the play, signaling a slash against Tomoya Soreyama out of Ibaraki in Japan.
Penalty Team Japan, number 33/1 minute.
Soreyama sits down for 1 minute, and England gets their first man-up opportunity of the game, needing to respond after Japan rips off back-to-back goals of the man-up variety as well. Goldsmith running the point, flanked by Hilditch. Now it's Hilditch, moving on to Scarpello. Plays in the PLL as a D-midi, but Goldsmith thought about a shot for just a moment, and an errant pass to Scarpello, who has been playing out of position for most of this tournament. Now Goldsmith stepped down, saved by Oshima.
I was going to say, if I had to put my money on a player who was going to take a shot, it would be number 3 in white, Goldsmith. Again, because he has the ability to really wind up, have some powerful shots, he would be the player of choice. But oftentimes, if it's the same player over and over again, taking that shot from downtown, you're better able to lock in, especially being the keeper, number 30, Oshima.
Oshima came into the game at 59% in his first men's world championship and has been perfect to this point with a couple of nice stops. Junichi Suzuki races the ball across the midfield line, and Japan has numbers. Kanaya surveys, swings it. Okamura dispossessed and called for a hold, giving the ball to England with 2:50 left in the first quarter.
So the back and forth style play, again, I think it benefits Japan. They're a little bit fresher, a little bit fresher than I am. But the back and forth play, the speed, the quickness, if they can wear out England early, that's going to definitely make problems for the team in white.
Dan Smith, their best covered defender, gets it into Watson. Watson chased around by a trio of Japanese defenders and leaves it for Christian Scarpello. England has struggled scoring in this tournament. They're high 7 against Puerto Rico and needed overtime to get that total. That was in the opening round of the playoffs, fighting off an upset bid by the 12 seeds. Tim Collins, one of their captains, dodging. Pomfret hums it outside. Might have hit the official as Kota Yanai comes up with the ball in Japan. If they'd like to, can hold for the final possession of the first quarter, given that there is no shot clock.
And they just had numbers in transition again, but we see them purposefully slowing things down, because why not take the last shot? They're already ahead by 2. You can see the argument for both sides. Push it, maybe tack on another third goal early on, but then you have to go back to the face-off. So I like the fact that they are slowing things down towards the end of this first quarter.
It kind of plays to what the Japanese coaching staff told us before the game. They expect to win this game. This isn't a prove ourselves. They think they've already proven that they belong competing among the top three. That is their goal. They think England is really a team that they should be beating. By taking their time, they're illustrating that.
And I wouldn't disagree. I'd say they are certainly on the upward trajectory. England has struggled a bit. Obviously, no close games in the Pool A. So that argument, I think, speaks for itself in terms of bracket play. However, you still have to prove it on the field, so they have to finish this game incomplete in order to have that extra little confidence build.
Yeah, England's been a top 5 team in the world for more than 2 decades. Okamura with his right hand shoots. Baxter gets a hand on it. Japan hangs on to possession. And a whistle comes in as the clock should have stopped. Final 30 seconds of quarters 1 through 3 go to stop time, and then the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. Outside of those scenarios, it is running clock. Put a couple seconds back on in Japan with 21 ticks to work with at the end of the first. Suzuki playing a 2-man game with Umehara. Suzuki around the edge. Suzuki! Baxter might have gotten a piece coming by. Still 9.5 seconds. Umehara to initiate. Draws the switch and wipes out. Obana does not get one away as the first quarter comes to an end. After a quiet start, Japan dominates the final 5 minutes of the first quarter to the tune of a 2-0 lead. They had to come through some hits first to get there, but at this moment, Japan in control. You're watching the 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship. Lacrosse Men's Championship, sponsored by Rady Children's Hospital, the largest children's hospital on the West Coast, ranked among the 10 best children's hospitals in the nation. The sun setting in San Diego and on the tournament. Just 1 day remains after we wrap up the 5th place game between Japan and England. Cooper Perkins, Courtney Martinez-Connor. Possessions lopsided in the first. If England's going to find a way to compete in this game down the stretch, they need to have the ball.
They need to have the ball, and it starts with winning some face-offs, getting everyone involved. And this is yet just another one for Japan that they have won. They are now perfect in the game. They need to win some face-offs, need to get some confidence under them, because as of right now, they're just playing catch-up.
Yeah, Pat Scarpello was concerned about face-offs. They've been a huge problem for England throughout the tournament, just 32.5% coming into the game. Was looking to their wings to potentially be the game changers, but so far Keiji Victor Ishii has dominated the clamp and been able to control the ball really to perfection for Japan. Kanaya trots it across into the offensive zone, and Japan, after a 2-0 lead thanks to 2 man-up goals, can settle into their 6-on-6. Suzuki, who we did not see much of against the Haudenosaunee, sporting number 22, now Toru Morimatsu, who actually moved to British Columbia to work on his lacrosse game in the box discipline. Suzuki feeding a skip pass up top. Now Kanaya squares up to Dodge. Gets the middle. Kanaya scores! Second for Hiroki Kanaya, and Japan starting to flex their offensive muscles.
Second in a row for Kanaya. First one in a man-up situation. This time, he took the bull by the horn. Strong dodge into space. Slides not there. That means you keep going. When you see a lane, you take it. Number 11 in red right there. Again, offensively, he is a key for Japan, and he is showing why.
Yeah, Kanaya has pumped in 21 goals in this tournament, tallying at least one in every game for Japan. The only time he was held to single digits was in their opening round of the playoffs against Germany. Ishii, his 5th faceoff win, but dispossessed on a yard sale by Tom Bracegirdle. No harm, no foul for Japan as they collect possession and will settle in with their substitutions with just over 2 minutes into this second quarter.
Despite the fact that England wasn't able to come up with that ball, I liked the fight that they showed. They were tracking it well, hunting it down, making some checks. Obviously, they weren't able to come up with that ground ball ultimately. But I like the fact that it wasn't just an easy pickup.
And a moving screen gives the ball back to England. Nice job by Umehara. And Kanaya to get back and cut off the transition. Vavzhiniak, scooping save by Oshima. The Providence College product, Vavzhiniak denied with his long pole. We heard the English coaching staff say they'd push transition a little bit more, unlike their previous 6 games. Seeing big, tall Jack Vavzhiniak shoot the ball is a pretty good illustration of that.
It's a good look. You know, he's super strong, fit, athletic. He's a personal trainer. If anybody's going to come barreling down and have some power behind him to give a little spark, that would be him. That phrase that they use, taking the handcuffs off, you know, I think offensively, when you find that you've been struggling throughout the whole tournament with getting quality looks at the goal, you know, transition is certainly an easier time to do it as opposed to unsettled. The defense that Japan has in matchup situations, it's just so difficult to beat.
Another moving screen after Okamura spent time bouncing off defenders. England just trying to build possession time. Japan has had the ball nearly the entire game to this point, stacking 5 consecutive face-off wins on top of their 3 goals. Tim Collins played in Division II here in the States. Good pass. Hilditch. Oshima might have had a bit of that on its way by.
Couple long pulls that stayed out offensively. We saw that successful in the previous game. Jamaica versus Israel. Israel getting a long stick goal, working from X. You want to try different things, anything to get your offense rolling.
Collins with tight defense from Sato. Goldsmith feeds Scarpello, couldn't handle in tight. Another England turnover, but that time creating a pretty good look.
Goldsmith, the ball was in his stick. He looked off another player, found Scarpello inside. You got to be trying other options. The 2-man game, the quick feeds, the passing around. It was a great look. It's just that the mishandle inside. They have the right ideas, but it just seems to be the story of them at this tournament. It's like it's almost there, but not quite yet. And they're kind of their own worst enemy at this point. The errors that are happening, it's not because Japan is doing something for them. It's kind of self-inflicted.
You mentioned almost there. Japan knocking on the doorstep of a top 5 ranking in the world, which they could acquire tonight with a win over England, who has finished in the top 5 of 5 consecutive Men's World Championship tournaments. That covers more than 20 years. Suzuki, ever shifty behind the cage, drags a short stick. That's Dexter with him. Feeding for Obana. Skips through Goost and picked up by Dexter. And here comes big Tommy Kirkland leading the fast break. Kirkland, Goldsmith. Nice recovery by Sodayama. But England still thinking about pushing the issue. This time off the post. That was Hilditch flying underneath, the guy they've been hoping to get more out of. And Japan will pump the brakes. And again, the tempo, such a big story in this game. Japan very under control, understanding their game plan. And that sequence is a good illustration. They had numbers, but chose not to exercise them.
And it's discipline. And that's one of those things that Japan Lacrosse, they have proven. They're very disciplined in their style of defense. Very disciplined offensively. Their stick work, everything they have about them. There's a set order. They don't deviate. They trust, they stick with the game plan.
Very well coached. Coach Udo, the man in charge. Tateishi for Umehara. Now Okamura dodges underneath. Okamura, Baxter got a piece and makes the save. Top 5 ranking in the world on the line here tonight. Japan trying to bully their way into the top 5 and an automatic spot in Pool A at the next tournament. England trying to stave off what has been, by most accounts, a slide. Their national team has gone through some adversity, a coaching change late. 16-year-old Hugo Peel, or the 17-year-old Hugo Peel, sporting number 6.
Just 17. He's a player who can be a complete wild card on the field. He looked terrific coming into the World Championships at their scrimmage at Hofstra. A bright young future.
Japan up to a 3-0 lead on England. It's the new guys on the block and one of the old guards for a spot in the top 5. Inching towards halftime with the sun setting in San Diego. Japan on top of England 3-0, and the story's very different. Courtney Martinez-Connor, Cooper Perkins. Courtney, Japan's so fundamental. England, kind of their own worst enemy.
And that's the direct words right out of head coach Pat Scarpello's mouth. He said, we just have to be better fundamentally. They know that they can play quality lacrosse. They just have to find a way to steal some of those possessions back. They just seem to be handing them away a little bit too easily against a very eager Japanese team.
England on the man up for 30 seconds after the illegal procedure penalty. Dexter on to Peel. That's Collins, rather. Now back to Dexter. Penalty released. Goldsmith in the middle. Scores! He's the key on England's offense in both the eyes of the English coaching staff and the Japanese coaching staff. And if this team is going to contend on offense, they need him to do things like that.
Goldsmith inside off of the feed from Danny Hilditch. They needed to be productive on their extra man situation. They haven't been in the past. It's hurt them, but this time, very productive as they were able to put goal number 1 on the board, breaking the seal, and this could be the little spark that they need to kind of get on a roll.
Goldsmith, with his team-high 8th goal of the tournament. Ishii with his 6th face-off win, and now Japan in transition. Shot missile wide from Katsumi Sugino. And the ball loose. Last touch by Vavžiniak from England, giving Japan the ball at the 5:10 mark in the second. So Sean Goldsmith gets England on the board after 3 straight Japanese goals to open the game. But Japan dominating time of possession and doing so thanks to their face-off man, Keiji Victor Ishii, who is perfect. Morimatsu around the perimeter. Sota Hakozaki, who was excellent against the Haudenosaunee. Dispossessed. Ball pops right back to Suzuki. Koki Goto has an assist. He pulls things out and drops it off to Suzuki.
The coaching staff for Japan said prior to the game they feel that they've taken too many low-angle shots throughout the tournament as of recent. And that last one was an example, but when you're backing it up, makes it a little bit easier to swallow.
High bouncer from Morimatsu, backed up by Kanaya. 5th place on the line and a top 5 ranking in the world at tournament's end. Japan has been knocking on the doorstep of matching their best finish, which was back in 2002 when they came in 5th at the World Championships. Hakozaki chased around by Big Tom Hallam. Koki Goto swims, moves to Hakozaki. Now it's Kirkland slapping at his hands. Japan so methodical in their offense, technically sound at each position. Kanaya and Morimatsu a two-man game. Morimatsu loses his handle on it, and Tom Bracegirdle scoops the ball up for England. One of their seasoned players in his second Men's World Championship. 9 out of their 23 are back from 2018, but 14 new faces for England in what is kind of becoming a youth movement for Pat Scarpello. You look at guys like Nick DiCaprio, who just wrapped his college career, Sean Goldsmith in North Carolina, Hugo Peel, just 17 years old. In some ways, this is fighting to keep their status as a top 5 program internationally, but in other ways, it also is kind of a transitional tournament for them.
And you want to see what you have. Obviously, this game matters in terms of where you finish ranking in the world, but you want to get some good looks at players who maybe didn't get as much time throughout the tournament or weren't producing as much as you wanted, and let them see what they can do in these pressure situations, because essentially, 5th, 6th, no big deal.
England calls a timeout with 2:38 until halftime. One of the big stories of this tournament is the development of Japan's national team. They are such an interesting case study because it's been a work in progress for the better part of a half century, going all the way back to the 1980s when Johns Hopkins used to go over, run clinics, try and get as many players understanding the game as possible. Then you look at the last 15 years, these teams from Japan starting to come over to the U.S., you can see them check the boxes of development, now knocking on the doorstep of being a top 5 team in the world. In many ways, they've kind of laid the game plan for how some of these other developing nations can take their next steps.
You know, they show that there's a lot of different ways. You don't need players to play in the NCAA. You can do it from homegrown. The infrastructure, like you mentioned, it did start 40 years ago, but about 15 years ago, they started taking their collegiate teams. These players don't start playing until they head to university. Many at Keio or Rikyo University, and they'll come over during fall ball, play some collegiate teams, and that's like their first experience. Maybe they've had the stick in their hand for a year, and that happens. But again, the development is we want to be really good at the basics, whether it's defense, offense, or stick work. And many of these players here, I've seen them out and about as if they're not getting enough lacrosse. Passing, getting on the wall in between games when they're basically playing every day anyway.
Hilditch force feeds Collins. Ball bounces out to the perimeter where Goldsmith drags the short stick defender Dai Sato, one of their captains for Japan. Nearing the 2-minute mark in the first half, Goldsmith rolls, feeds up top. Hilditch hesitates, shoots, was stripped in the process, and here comes Japan. Sato to Tataishi, and Japan calls a timeout. Interesting to see Japan take that timeout at 1:56 left in the first half. They just had an opportunity to talk things over in their huddle when England called a timeout. Different coaching philosophies and how you use your timeouts.
And they have an extra timeout to use, so why not use it rather than waste it? Give your players a rest. You want to hope that you go into the half having an extra goal, maybe even 2, as you're breaking down what you'd like for them to see offensively. You know, again, this game is well in control despite it just being a 2-goal game. Japan has had a majority of the possession, plain and simple. They've won the ball at the face-off. Defensively, they're very difficult to score on. And in transition, they probably could push it a little bit more, but they're choosing to slow things down and take time off the clock, which ball's in your stick, the other team can't score.
You haven't been with us the entire game. Japan jumped out to an early 2-0 lead on a pair of man-up goals. First by Shania Tataishi and then by Hiroki Kanaya. At the early part of the second, Kanaya added another on a time and room shot from the point. Sean Goldsmith finally cracked things open for England, scoring midway through this second quarter. At where we sit, 3-1. Japan with possession and a chance, if they would like to hold for the final shot of this second quarter. We saw them do that at the end of the first, killing almost 1 minute and 45 seconds. Their passing is so crisp that they can do that if they like and ask England to maybe think about trying to come out and pressure them.
That's right. I mean, I don't think that England would. There's no need at this point, but you're always trying to push the envelope if you can. This Japanese team, when you look at what they want or what they expected out of this tournament, the fact that they're not happy with what they've done so far, you gotta love that. They set some high goals. They wanted to finish in the top 4 at least. This has been a little bit of an upset in terms of their standards, but their team identity, they just said surprise. They want to surprise themselves, the Japanese community, the world. And again, the fact that they've had a strong handle on this game the entire time, not sure if anybody else expected it, but they certainly did.
How much of their inability to surprise the world comes back to having already done so at the World Games?
You know, when I asked their coaching staff about that, they said, we know it's a different discipline. That was the sixes. Yeah, we did that, and they were proud of it, but they want to prove it on the full field game, the 10v10. So you got to respect that. They said it helped them gain confidence, but it's totally different.
Suzuki chased around by Cam Major. No pressure here to go with under 40 seconds in the second. Japan happy to hold for the final possession and potentially final shot. Always keep an eye on number 11 in red, Hiroki Kanaya, one of the leading scorers in this tournament. Suzuki drags Major back to X. 20 seconds. Look for them to initiate any moment. Here comes Suzuki. Around the corner, Okamura forcing to the middle. One more pass, Kanaya. 5 seconds. Umehara extra pass. And a save by Baxter on Hakazaki to end the first half. So Japan uses a couple of man-up goals in an early 3-0 run to take the lead on England, but the English hanging in there with physical defense and a little help from Sean Goldsmith. We head to halftime at the San Diego State University Sports Deck. It's Japan 3 and England 1 with a top 5 ranking in the world on the line. You're watching the 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship presented by Rady Children's Hospital. Opening face-off of the second half, showcasing an area that Japan has dominated en route to their 3-1 lead. Keiji Victor Ishii, a perfect 6 for 6 in the opening 30. Daniel Madeley, who has gone just 27% for the tournament, is tasked with trying to break the rhythm of Ikumito Shimada, who will take his first face-off. So a little bit of adjustment from Japan. Interesting to see after Ishii was so dominant. They hand the stick now to Shimada and expect to continue their dominance.
That's one of those things, try it out, I get it, you're in the lead, and for them, at the end of the day, they already feel like they've won this matchup, but that's why we play the game. The game is not done yet. So that's a lot of trust putting in another face-off player.
Well, Shimada's pretty good in his own right, 72% for the tournament. And Japan controls the loose ball to give them their 7th consecutive face-off win. Hiroki Hiratsuka collecting the ball and allowing Shinaya Teteishi to work it around the perimeter and get the substitutions on. Japan led this game 3-0 and has controlled possession from the opening whistle. It has been their tempo dictated from the onset. Their fundamentals and precision on display as they try and crack the top 5 in the world at tournament's end. DiCaprio, the two-way midi out of Michigan, defending Obana. Methodical. Okamura flying in from the substitution. Tateishi face dodges. Here's Kanaya with 2 goals in the first half and 21 for the tournament. He'll defer. Japan in no hurry. They've taken their time effectively. Kanaya, save. Baxter builds on his strong first half.
Keeping the game low scoring is a benefit to England. Again, largely due to their goalkeeper work. But if they can just make some changes on the offensive end of the field, beating those matchups mixing things up again. I'd like to see a little bit more two-man action, some work on the opposite side. They've struggled working all 6 of them together throughout the tournament, relying a little bit too much on Goldsmith and Scarpello. It's everybody needs to get in on the action in order to make it a successful offensive set.
Their head coach, Pat Scarpello, told us before their quarterfinal against Australia, you know, at times it feels like the other 4 guys in the field are looking at Sean, as in Goldsmith, and Christian, as in Scarpello, waiting for one of them to make a play. Here Goldsmith draws a foul. And the 30-second technical will send England to their 3rd man up.
When you think 3rd man up and just 1 goal, they scored obviously their man up goal off of one of those sets, but that's obviously 33%, not a statistic that you want, but better than what they've done all tournament.
They were 0 for the tournament coming into the game, so it's an improvement for Pat Scarpello's man-up unit.
Number 98, illegal procedure, 30-second technical.
Goldsmith running the point. He's their shooter. Scarpello. Goldsmith steps in and buries it for England. A huge goal to start the second half gets the English back within 1. They convert the man up. It's 3-2.
A little bit of catch back and forth, Scarpello and Goldsmith, until they found that the defense was shifting a little bit slower. There's Goldsmith, his signature bifocals. You loved his energy. He's a quiet player, but that just little fist bump, it's like, let's go. Let's get moving. England now closing the gap by just a goal to start the 3rd quarter. That's huge.
Yeah, Sean Goldsmith played 3 years at Mercer before grad transferring to North Carolina, where he finished 2nd on the team in goals this past spring. Another draw control for Japan off the illegal procedure.
Scored by number 3, Sean Goldsmith.
But back-to-back England goals dating back to the first half have pulled them back within 1. Credit to England. Japan has dominated and dictated the tempo of this game, but to be within 1 is encouraging for Pat Scarpello and company.
It's impressive. Again, I liken the international lacrosse game to soccer, where it's a lot of possession time, but if you capitalize when it's needed, just as England has, again, just a 1-goal game, largely due to the goalkeeping play of Will Baxter, it's still a close game. They're still in it. There's a lot of lacrosse left to be played.
Goto draws the slide and throws it away before Suzuki tracks down the loose ball. Here's Hiroki Kanaya, squares up on Jack Vavzhiniak, one of just a couple of NCAA players for England. Kanaya dodging, backhanding. Backed up by Japan. Stays on this end of the field, but Kanaya showing a diverse skill set. We know he's a shooter. He's burned a couple from outside, but they're dodging and beating his defender one-on-one.
I like that, acting like he's going to pull up and take a shot, but then continued on with the dodge. Again, they're always evolving. When Japan talks about what they're good at, their coaching staff says, we know it's the fundamental side of the game, but we have some surprises for you. And I love when they said, we can't talk about tactics too much. That's for you guys to watch on the field, but we won't let you down. You know, they want to be this exciting style of lacrosse while anticipating those basics.
Tataishi, bar down beauty. It's 4-2.
Number 3 doing the work. Hokozaki inside. He was the one with his eyes up. It's always about being selfless on the field. When you're able to work with others, when you have the vision, when defense maybe isn't moving as well as what they should, and you have the awareness offensively that who has their stick open, all you need is the head of that stick. Fire it in there quickly, and Japan, again, doing the basics incredibly well.
Ishii controls another draw, but is stripped by Kirkland. And England loses the face-off, but wins possession.
Japan goal. Scored by number 3, Shinya Tateshi. Assisted by number 10, Sota Hakozaki.
That was a big goal, probably more for England than for Japan, right? England back-to-back tallies, pulling themselves back within one, relying on their defense, and then to watch Japan very methodically work through their offense and score somewhat easily has to be deflating.
They answered right back. It was, gosh, with our running time, I don't even want to begin to guess. Maybe within a minute, right? But they said, you can score, okay, we can do it as well. Again, they're trying other things, which you have to appreciate.
Hilditch feeding Goldsmith. They cannot connect. Pass was just behind the cutting Sean Goldsmith. That'll take us to our media timeout. Japan, thanks to Shania Tataishi's second, back up by a deuce. You're watching the 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship. Japan doubling up England with the 5th ranking in the world on the line. Cooper Perkins, Courtney Martinez, Connor. I don't think the people at home quite realize just how much goes into getting these teams to this event. For all of them, there is travel, there are roadblocks along the way, but for Japan, they have a little extra that they've gone through as well.
That's right. The serving chef on their team was the goalie from the 2018 championship team that Japan had sent to Israel. They brought 70 kilograms of rice from Japan, and he's in charge of cooking it all for them. That's a lot of nutrition for many players, not just the players, but also the staff. And they said some of their staff members have expanded in size, and not in a good way.
70 kilograms, that's what, a little over 150 pounds. So they brought basically a 24th player with them, just in a big sack.
Yeah. I can only imagine what the fees were that when traveling.
Can you imagine being that gate agent at the airport? They roll up with 150 pounds of rice.
Oh, but I'd love to have some of that. I'm a rice person. Love it through and through. Give me the carbs.
Watching these teams interact with each other has been really interesting as well. You have to imagine there have been plenty of meals shared, be it Team Japan, Team Uganda, the Netherlands, a very popular group. Just a really interesting convergence of these cultures in San Diego. Japan dominating possession time in this game, not giving England much opportunity to score. The handful of chances they've had, Shogo Oshima has been great behind the defense in net. Meanwhile, Hakazaki draws a penalty, now wipes out. And Japan will head to the man up. It'll be a 30-second holding penalty against number 2, Nick DiCaprio.
So interesting sequence of events. So we've seen, again, a lot of flags throughout the tournament.
30-second technical.
Penalties occurring, but I wouldn't necessarily say a lot of high-scoring offenses. Again, the defenses have been so stout for many of the teams.
In tight, Baxter, another big save. He has been England's rock. Without the play of Will Baxter, they're probably not competing in this game. I don't think people have appreciated how well Will Baxter's played because of the competition he faced until Okamura buries one on the far side. Again, in tight spaces, Okamura's stick skills are maybe the best on Team Japan.
Again, attributing it to the box lacrosse. A feed in tight, he handles it well. Cannot talk about how difficult that is. You got to catch it, turn, release, sight the cage. But again, when you play box lacrosse, it's a much smaller goal. So this must look like a soccer goal compared for him.
We hear that about the Canadian players all the time. John Danowski, the head coach of Team USA, had a great quote talking about Canadian players, saying they're used to shooting at 4x4 with the Michelin man in front. You put them on the field with a 6x6, and they unsurprisingly find a way to fill up the net. Okamura borrowing from that same experience. Japan with transition. Tataishi, shot soaked up. England collects. And this possession is huge for England. They're down by 3. Japan has scored back-to-back. You get the sense that at some point they need to make a move offensively or the game's going to slip away from them.
you know, the game is fairly close, despite the fact that they've barely had the ball offensively. So that's actually a bright side. If you look at it from a coach, that's what you're telling your team. Listen, we barely had the ball, and we have 2 goals. They just have 5, and they've had the ball for a majority of the game. So if they can just get some better looks on cage, working all 6 of them together, not relying on any 1 or 2 players, I think they can find success quickly.
Just under 3.5 minutes to go in the third. 5th place in the tournament, and therefore the number 5 ranking in the world on the line. Also an automatic berth in Pool A for the next tournament. Japan trying to break through. England trying to finish in the top 5 for the 6th consecutive World Championship tournament. Collins will invert and drag Dai Sato with him. Collins playing a 2-man game. Collins to the top side. Shoulders into the defense. Collins forcing away a shot. Kota Yanai comes away with it, and for England, you have to think they could have gotten a better look than that.
You know, they rode hard. I think they realize that that's not necessarily the best look that they're looking for, but they're showing life. They rode hard. Japan, I thought they were a little too rushed on their clear, and England, with a tremendous effort, essentially just a one-person ride, one person on the ball. It was his job to slow it down, push him out of bounds, and he did it well.
Collins dodging again. Around to Goldsmith. He scored both of the English goals so far. Not usually a dodger, but working on Sorayama. Rolls back. Goldsmith turns, shoots. Scarpello, the backup.
I like that different look. You got to do something out of the ordinary. Goldsmith, generally an outside shooter. This time using his size. He has such a big frame.
Scarpello bodying through 3 defenders, draws a flag. Now Drew Bickerton, maybe the quickest and shiftiest player on England's offense. Bickerton buries it high. The 2nd generation in his family after granddad Hector played in 4 men's world championships, and Bickerton now has goals in 4 different games for England.
Everybody taking on a different role slightly. Bickerton, generally the quarterback. As you had mentioned, showing his speed. He's little, he's quick, he's tough to handle. Excellent job closing the gap for England, as they are not willing to go away easily for this Japanese team.
Drew Bickerton is one of the best stories of this World Championship tournament. He barely played a minute the first 3 games against Australia, the Haudenosaunee, and the USA, to the point they sent him out at halftime to go warm the goalie up. They said, Drew, we don't need you in here. You're fine. Go warm up the goalie. We'll talk to you later. He gets the 2nd quarter against Canada by design. They leave Graham Hossack on him. He beats Hossack to score a goal. At that point, Pat Scarpello and his staff figured, hey, we knew this kid could do some things. Didn't realize they give him that much space. Since then, he hasn't left the field.
All you have to do is get your shot to show what you can do, and that's one of those instances where he took it and ran with it. Again, England riding hard. They're getting the ball back. He was that spark that they needed in Canada. Spark again today versus Japan.
Well, they've pulled back within 2 and call it timeout. You see Pat Scarpello hiding between bodies there in the middle in his first World Championship as the head man for Team England. He was the head coach of Team Bermuda back in 2018, coaches at Fairleigh Dickinson here in the U.S., and he has such an interesting task, as a lot of these national team coaches do. He's coaching the England team from the Northeast in the U.S., so there's time change differences for meetings. He's relying on assistants to try and help them practice. It's such an interesting challenge that these staffs have to navigate, especially in the case of England, where they're separated by an ocean.
A lot of these teams, that's the toughest part of figuring out how to organize. Many of them have a lot of great players that they felt in this World Championship they didn't train enough. They didn't have an opportunity to really gel as a team. And they said, looking forward into future years, whether it's England, Puerto Rico, anyone else, they have to figure out a way to train together. You look at what Japan has been able to do with consistent training, working on those fundamentals, building that team culture. It's a necessity if you want to take that next leap.
Can England pull back within one before the end of the third? They have 30 seconds to try and make it happen. Scarpello rolling. Draws the short stick. Scarpello muscling down. The former Rutgers star on to Hilditch. Now on the perimeter. Shot up high from Collins. 14.8 seconds left. The ever-explosive Drew Bickerton will initiate from behind the goal for England. Here comes Bickerton with a head of steam, rolls, lost the possession, and Japan will get out and run with 5 seconds. Sano lost it on the way by, and the third quarter wraps up. So England making things interesting. Sean Goldsmith, Drew Bickerton, Shania Tatayeshi and company aren't going away though. It's 5-3 Japan after 3. The 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship sponsored by Rady Children's Hospital, the largest children's hospital on the West Coast, ranked among the 10 best children's hospitals in the nation. 45 minutes down, 15 to go. Japan leading England 5-3 with a top 5 finish on the line. For England, it would be their 6th consecutive 5th place marker. For Japan, trying to match their best finish since 2002. Knocking on the doorstep of the world's elite, Japan trying to take that next step, and they have not lost a face-off yet tonight en route to dominating the time of possession. The fact that England has been able to hang within 2 of Japan, given how seldom they've had the ball, really is impressive.
That tells a big story. They're not willing to go away quietly. They're going to battle to the bitter end, no matter how banged up they are. The fact that they are able to keep this close, again, large part due to their goalkeeper, Will Baxter. He's done an outstanding job of just standing on his head, being a brick wall. That's been the tough spot for Japan. Now, granted, I'd say some of their shots aren't necessarily the best selection, something their coach wanted them to improve upon.
Yeah, Will Baxter was 38% for the tournament. He's been electric tonight. Obana's feed slapped down and picked up by Mike Pomfret, the Manchester boy. And here comes England trying to clear. Pomfret, a dandy move, swimming his way into the offensive zone. And England a chance to pull within 1. But Pomfret mishandles, and a gift given back to Team Japan. Kiyoshi Sano with numbers for Japan. But as we've seen them do all night, they put the brakes on and instead will defer to the slower pace that favors their very technical play.
And I would love to see them push transition. They can score goals in transition. The fact that they're letting the clock do the work, I get it, but why not separate? They're winning 5-3. Why not pull away? Because they can in transition. They have the speed, they have the athleticism, but it's definitely what their game plan is.
How much of their willingness to do that at this point comes down to the running clock and the fact that England isn't just playing against the team in red, they're also playing against the numbers on the scoreboard?
Oh, that's absolutely their game plan. And again, the Japanese players are sticking to it through and through. They are not phased. We've seen opposing teams deviate pretty darn quickly from whatever the coaching staff decides. That is not this Japanese team.
The feed from Hakazaki to Kanaya in the middle did not connect, but Japan controls the ground ball. Almost 2.5 minutes gone in the fourth. Japan has had possession nearly the entire time. That has been the story of the game, the way Japan has controlled the tempo. Split dodge. Goto. Back around to Hakazaki. Chased around. Dan Smith draws the defensive assignment on Kanaya, who scored twice tonight and 21 times in the tournament. Dan Smith, the best cover defender England has to offer. Kanaya playing a 2-man game. He and Goto up at the top. Kanaya drifting towards the wing and will defer to Okamura back behind the net, who scored the last Japan goal.
You know, they're setting those picks. They want to create that mismatch. They want to get the shorty on the ball. England wasn't biting.
Okamura with his great stick skills in tight spaces, chased around by Nick DiCaprio. Okamura posting up, step back, and will pass up what might have been a decent shot. Again, though, the time factoring in. If you're Japan, why settle for a good shot when both the time is on your side and you can try and get a great shot?
The patience is key, and they are displaying some big-time patience on the field, not forcing.
Dan Smith lays the lumber on Shania Tateishi. Japan, though, retains possession almost 4 minutes into this fourth quarter, bleeding the clock, as England just watching things get a little bit tougher with the clock melting away. A 2-goal lead, but given the format of the tournament and the way Japan plays, that is a much bigger task than you might guess otherwise. To the middle, Japan tallies it again, Hakozaki.
Suzuki to Hakozaki, both of these players played in the U20 championships in 2022 for Japan. This is their youth. They are giving some opportunities to these younger players, seeing what they can do with it. Nice little work around the crease. The vision, the ability to put the ball to where their teammate's going to be, the cutting inside action. It's not just one-sided. Early on, we saw a lot of ISO situations, a lot of individual dodging. Now it's working together.
Going back to the point, right, Okamura passes up on what was a decent shot. They reinitiate their offense, and Suzuki creates a great look for Hakozaki.
Yeah, it's almost like they're playing with things at this point. Like, I could go, but I'm not going to do it.
England, a much-needed possession comes out of the scrum, courtesy of Tim Collins.
Team Japan goal.
Being doubled up by Japan right now and facing a melting clock at under 10 minutes left in the fourth. Remember, running clock until the final 2 minutes here in the fourth. So England is going to have to go at a pace that is a little bit uncomfortable for them. Generally throughout this tournament, they have been a bleed the clock, take the air out of the ball kind of offense, having only scored more than 5 once. Put up 7 against Puerto Rico in the opening round of the playoffs. They're going to need to get to 7 and hold Japan scoreless the rest of the way if they want to win. Collins split dodges on Sato. Collins bodying through. Hilditch hesitates, drives, backpedals and drifts away. Now Goldsmith trying to dodge from up top. Goldsmith, hands free. Goldsmith hums it outside.
Whew! The release on that shot so quick out of his stick, number 3 in white. But again, we talk about the offense not deviating. What the game plan is for Japan defensively, they're sticking with their tough one-on-one defense. They're not going to slide early.
Collins draws a penalty. One of England's captains, Tim Collins, graduated from the University of Mount Olive in 2020. So England to the man up for 30 seconds.
Penalty, Team Japan, number 98.
2 of their 3 goals have been off of man-up opportunities. Huge improvement than what we've seen throughout the rest of the tournament. So this is a pretty good opportunity for them.
Keep an eye on number 3, Sean Goldsmith running the point. Collins winding up, loses his handle. Under 8 to play, nearing the halfway mark. Goldsmith, shot soaked up by Kota Yanai. Back to even strength. Dexter! England isn't done yet. It's 6-4. Sam Dexter out of Leeds Metropolitan scores his first goal of the tournament and picks a beauty of a time to make it happen. Cooper Perkins, Courtney Martinez, Connor with you from San Diego State. England tallies one to pull back within two. Talk about a great time if you're Sam Dexter to punch home your first of the tournament.
No, that's the excitement. World Championships, this is a big stage. Not backing down in big-time situations. Another man-up opportunity. He's a player who knows a thing or two about playing at both ends of the field. Came to England, was one of those kind of last-minute 2 months prior to World Championships, and Pat Scarpello said, my gosh, so glad that he showed up.
Easy work at the face-off X for Ikumicho Shimada, and now Japan once again controlling possession. Sorayama, as they have all night, slams on the brakes. 2-goal Japan lead, 7 minutes to play, and an offense that loves to chew clock with possession.
Don't let it fool you. They can play quick and fast. They're very athletic, speedy, but it's not the game plan that they're looking for in this game. Just like you said, they want to let the clock do the work. Time is on their side. They're in the lead. There's no need to score more. However, the referees are very aware that they are taking their time, so I wouldn't be surprised for some delay, some stalling calls coming on the horizon here shortly.
Umehara dodges underneath. Backhands it to Okumura. Around a pick, Okumura. Clock inching towards the 6-minute mark. Umehara probing around behind the net. He's pulled the captain, Tim Collins, around with him. Tateishi! And Japan with an insurance goal.
Despite the methodical play that we're seeing from Japan, they have been able to shoot the ball so very well. Tateishi putting that last goal on the board. Umehara, another player out of the Nippon Sports Science University, put up 16 points in the World Games. That was third highest on the team. Again, they share the ball so very well. It's like they're trying to say, we can do this not just in our one-on-one situations, but we can work as a unit offensively. But I would still like for them to showcase that speed that they have coming out, transition, for the fans to see, because it is exciting.
5th hat trick of the tournament for Shania Tateishi.
Team Japan.
Now England's going to have to go in a hurry, back down by 3 after Tateishi pulls Japan up 7-4. Hugo Peel, the 17-year-old, quick dodger from up top, racing down the alley. Goldsmith using his big frame. Peel. Muscling in, working it around the perimeter. Now Danny Hilditch, chased around by Hiratsuka. Hilditch. Peel underneath. Watson feeding, looking for Collins. And England turns it over. A big missed opportunity in Japan with the clock winding beneath 4 minutes.
And this is difficult to get the ball back. We saw Canada do it just last night versus the Haudenosaunee. And it takes a lot of effort. You pull your goalkeeper. It's hard.
If you're England, you have to pressure, which then opens up those backside looks as well.
I can't imagine, though, that Japan would even be looking to score on an open goal. Again, they stick with their game plan. They don't deviate.
Suzuki gets doubled and zigzags his way out of it before deferring to Umehara. Empty net for England. They're going to the double team. Umehara chasing away from Andrew Baxter. Stall warning in effect. So Japan has to keep it in the box. Okumura spins through a pair. A flag flies in. And Japan is going to have a man-up opportunity with 2:57 to go.
Some great double teams. They almost had the cause turnover. England, I thought they sent them very well. Again, Japan's not looking to shoot. England knows that. Some spinning and wheeling and dealing by Okamura.
And again, it's the stick skills of Japan when they need them. In this instance, trying to kill clock and evade a double team. They're just so refined and so technical. You know, we see different kinds of stick skills from different teams in this tournament. From the U.S., it's the pinnacle of technicality and refined precision. For the Haudenosaunee, it's like having a third arm, the way they're able to wheel the stick around and put passes in places you can't imagine. For Japan, they're from the same school as the U.S., very technical, very wall ball oriented. In a situation like this where they're trying to kill clock, taking the ball away from them is almost an impossible task.
Impossible. But one thing you won't see, Japan throwing behind the backs around the worlds. Again, it's very basic, fundamental. They stick with the game plan. They aren't super creative in terms of they're going to try new, wild, and crazy things. Their coach says to do X, Y, and Z. They're going to stick with X, Y, and Z.
To crack into that top echelon and join the U.S., Canada, and Haudenosaunee, do they need more creativity?
I believe yes. To break into that next level, even if you look at the United States, they've realized that you have to allow for some openness, for allowing your players on the field to make decisions and not be so stringent in what you do.
Suzuki puts it away for Japan and draws one more flag in the process.
That's an exclamation point. Suzuki, he had the speed, he got away from the pressure. A lot of players in front of him. I'm actually surprised that he took this shot. They've been pulling things out so quickly. Maybe it was a call to, it's all right if we get to 8, and then we're going to pull back. Because as of now, they're going back to the face-off. This is going to give England an opportunity to come up with the ball, and maybe one that they feel confident about, because a majority of the face-offs have been won.
Because of the penalty, actually, there will not be a face-off. Japan is awarded possession automatically. So for England, that task is even taller. You have only 2.5 minutes. You're down 2 men, and Japan leading by 4. You get the sense in this building that the Japanese faithful can sense the win coming and a spot in the top 5 just minutes away.
England and penalty team England.
2 penalties on England. So Japan just content to melt the clock away after Suzuki's empty net goal. Gives them 3 goals of insurance and a 4-goal lead.
Team Japan goal scored by number 22, Junichi Suzuki.
And the referees are going to be quick to turn this stall.
First penalty released. England trying to double while keeping their goaltender between the pipes. Now Baxter comes out, retreating. Japan just playing possum. Catch around the perimeter, and the second penalty released. Less than 90 seconds to go. Okamura, some of the best stick skills on the team. Japan just trying to wind this thing out and walk out as the 5th-ranked team in the world. Only a minute separates them from climbing into the next tier.
Remaining in regulation.
And this may seem cruel, but actually not going to goal. They could tack on a lot of goals if they wanted to. We've seen it happen in other games. It's actually showing a lot of respect for England as they are battling hard, trying to get this ball back, and they're doing a pretty darn good job of being physical, sending the doubles, and Japan electing to pull it out. In my opinion, very kind.
Japan calls the timeout. In the context of Japan's goals for this tournament, this is a success to a certain point, but they came in wanting to compete with the U.S., Canada, and the Haudenosaunee. They learned in the quarterfinal that the Haudenosaunee still have a size advantage on them that they had no answer for. Austin Stotts with 5 goals, bullying his way like a bear. In one way, this is a big win for Japan. In another way, this tournament leaves something to be desired for them.
That's right. Beating England is key. It's what they expected, though. Now they've shown the world that they can do it. They can beat one of the top 5. They are now going to be in the top 5. So that is huge in and of itself. But their goal was to be in the Final Four, and I love this part, at least. They expected a lot out of themselves. And when you have high goals, it's a good thing. It means you're developing quickly. But I do think that creativity side, again, it started back with Johns Hopkins in the late, early 90s, and then it's progressed to playing some collegiate teams. They're going to continue to push the envelope, but I would like to see them at this next world stage 4 years from now. What have they done? How have they evolved even more? And again, it's kind of the new guard passing from the old guard.
Have to imagine we'll see more players like Yuya Okamura and Toru Morimatsu who have gone and gotten box lacrosse experience do the same thing. Japan will be competing at the box world championships next summer. Suzuki just wheeling around. One more, he'll pass it up. And Japan still trying just to melt out the final seconds. They dominated pool play, beat Germany in the opening round of the playoffs, and then ran into a buzzsaw from the Haudenosaunee in the quarterfinals. But Japan, nonetheless, is going to finish in the top 5. They were ranked 6th entering the tournament. They'll move up 1 spot, and next cycle they'll be in Pool A. Under 10 seconds until the team in red can claim the victory. And with that, Japan will spoil an otherwise excellent ending to the tournament with emotion at the close. Both teams with tempers flying. Japan coming to the aid of their teammate that was taken out at the close. That's Baxter laying the high hit on Sota Hakozaki, and at this point, there is absolutely no place for that.
None. Head-to-head hit. You have to have sportsmanship. And off-ball, there was another situation of England having a similar hacking slash. I just hope the Japanese player is on the ground is okay, but he had a hard hit.
It is Sota Hakozaki who was hit very high and very late in unnecessary fashion by Andrew Baxter. We then saw a scrum that ensued and tempers flying, but at the close of this, not the way that England would like to end their tournament. They've already lost. They already have fallen out of the top 5, and in this moment, they have at least one member allowed the moment to get the better of them.
It's marred what they've done on the field. Again, it's all about sportsmanship. You treat the opponent with respect, and that was anything but, plain and simple.
Sota Hakozaki down on the field after taking a hit with less than a second left. And we regret to obviously acknowledge the presence of an ambulance that has come to the scene, as Japan's team will come out to their teammate Sota Hakozaki, who had a great game for Japan. Our thoughts with Hakozaki on the field. 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship. We'll be back with more. The final score here, Japan beating England 8-4, and in the final moments, an unnecessary high hit against Japanese player Sata Hakozaki has very unfortunately left him down in the field and in need of assistance. The Japanese team aiding their teammate. Cooper Perkins, Courtney Martinez, Connor. This tournament has been exceptional in many ways. It has been a convergence of culture. It has been a display of sportsmanship and brotherhood. This conclusion, however, to the fifth place game does to some extent spoil that.
Absolutely. At this point, it's just a matter of hoping and praying that he is okay. Looking at the body language of the Japanese team, obviously worry across their faces for their teammate. The stands are quiet. Everybody having those same sentiments.
A wildly unnecessary ending to an otherwise spectacular event. Japan showcasing their progress in defeating a top 5 team in England, doing so with technical precision and a commitment to themselves and their game plan. Make no mistake, the Japanese deserve every bit of credit that they could possibly receive for ascending to the place that they have. The unfortunate reality, however, is that accomplishment will come with a sense of concern, disappointment, frustration, and surely anger after watching their teammate unnecessarily and violently hit at the game's conclusion. Sota Hakozaki for Japan being attended to on the field. Courtney, the unfortunate reality here is there's nothing that can be done from a rules standpoint or an officiating standpoint to prevent this situation. This is simply an instance of poor judgment by an individual and emotion getting the best of a situation that has resulted in a very frustrating sequence for the Japanese team to navigate.
And one that begs the question, how is it handled? How do you prevent something like this from happening again? What are the repercussions? And the fans have begun to clap as the Japanese team is giving space to their teammate.
Every member of the crowd still seated in attendance, waiting for hope of a thumbs up or something of that variety from Sota Hakozaki as he's attended to by the excellent medical staff here at the 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship. Japan has beaten England 8-4. They are the 5th place finishers. And the sportsmanship of the Japanese to handle this moment is something that we have to remark on. Obviously, in the immediate moments after the hit, there was a response that some might feel be warranted, certainly rooted in emotion. But in the moments that have followed, as they've watched their teammate be tended to, Team Japan has represented themselves well, brilliantly even, in how they've stayed composed and how they've stayed a unit. You watch them raising the net, consoling each other, being careful. They're a program that is far more than just lacrosse players. The Japanese national team is rooted in honor.
You know, that's one thing. Anybody who's traveled to Japan understands that their culture is built around respect for one another, respect for others, for visitors. And just as you had mentioned, that was one of the first things I noticed, the net being held up as well. They are truly people, a culture, one who we all want to mirror after.
If you haven't been with us, Team Japan has beaten Team England in the 5th place game 8-4. However, the closing moments of this game marred by a display of unsportsmanlike conduct at its core. Thankfully, we can tell you that Japanese attackman Sota Hakozaki is being loaded and treated by the medical staff. He is on the stretcher as his teammates receive a round of applause for both their accomplishments on the field and their composure off of it. We cannot speculate about the status of Hakozaki, but we also must recognize that the presence of Japan's team on the sideline addressing their fans rather than being continuously huddled around their teammate probably is a good illustration of their trust in the medical staff, and also a little bit of a sense of relief perhaps that they feel comfortable stepping aside.
Dai Sato speaking, and again, a bow of respect. He is the captain of this Japanese team, and again, the appreciation that they feel for their fans in the stands, concern for their teammate. You can just see it on their faces.
With their victory, Team Japan finishes 5th in the tournament and becomes the new 5th-ranked team in the world. Their teammate Sota Hakozaki loaded into the ambulance and being taken care of by the tremendous responders and medical staff that have so vigilantly watched over this tournament. Cannot speculate on his status, but we are pleased to tell you that he is in good hands.
An excellent ending for Japan. They came, they conquered, they accomplished what they were looking for, and we have a new team within the top 5.
One final time from the San Diego State University Sports Tech. Japan beats England. They finish 5th in the tournament and have plenty to celebrate as they are the new top 5 team in the world. For Courtney Martinez-Connor, I'm Cooper Perkins. Thank you for watching this edition of the 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship.